So you all know how I love my routines. Well, I've got another one for you. So as well as all those bare minimum routines that I have where I like to do these bits and pieces, I also have a bare minimum where I try and look at a YouTube tutorial each day. Well, not necessarily a YouTube tutorial, but a tutorial of some description. And it doesn't even have to be Blender. It can be design-based, arts-based, creative-based, whatever. Because I think it's really important to try and immerse yourself in whatever you're doing. So whether it is horse riding, hockey, art, creativity, I don't know exactly what, but try and immerse yourself in that particular field. So for me it's Blender, 3D animation, 3D art, and generally art and being creative. And I really try and just immerse myself in it. So I'm looking at books, magazines, websites, anything I can see on TV, even podcasts. I listen to a podcast or something like Blender Guru interviews. I listen to that on the way back from work. I listen to the news on the way to work, but on the way back, always try and listen to something that's a bit of a podcast, interview with an artist, that type of thing. Blender Guru's done some really excellent ones recently, so have a look at those. It makes it more enjoyable and you don't have to sort of panic that you're doing excellent practice or whatever it might be, but you learn through just watching and being part of. Human beings, in fact animals in general, are very good at learning through watching and doing. We're not so good at just listening to something, which is strange because they do that in schools a lot. They sort of talk at you and you're supposed to take it in, but actually by doing and watching you can learn much more. That's probably a massive generalisation. They don't really do that in schools anymore. It's called chalk and talk that they used to do in the past, where someone would write on the board and they'd just write out, and you'd expect to just sort of write things down and learn automatically. Well, obviously teaching has changed and it's much more about doing, taking part and watching and interacting, and that's how you can really learn. And like I say, it doesn't have to be all Blender related, it can be 3D related or even design related. There's lots of 3D artists out there who need to work more on their design skills because there's the composition, the construction, the lighting that often we don't think about because we're too busy learning the tech for the modelling and how we actually make that model rather than how it fits into the scene. So I thought it'd be a good idea to show you some places you can go on the internet and a couple of YouTube sites, so let's have a look. So the first place that I wanted to show you was Blender Nation. It's a place that talks about Blender related news, and you've got articles each day as you can see here. So 3D news, education, Blender development, loads of really useful stuff, and it's a great place to immerse yourself in Blender. This group here, Wayward Art Company, they do some really nice stuff, and that's a great little insight into the edge detect node in Blender 2.8. That's going to be really useful. There's another one I want to point out, and I'm going to go into this one. This is a new guy on the scene, Curtis Holt, who by the looks of things has only been doing tutorials for the last couple of weeks. But if we go to his channel now, he's done this really nice building a sci-fi corridor using Blender and Unity. I would say it's more an intermediate to advanced-ish level, but he does really go into scene construction and environment construction that not many people have done in the past. And it's very detailed, in-depth, easy to listen to, very impressive. So good luck, Curtis, I hope you do well. You can also see on Blender Nation more commonly known people like Jan Sculpts there with his Batman tutorial. I would say Jan Sculpts and Zacharias Reinhardt are the two sort of leading the way in sculpting at the moment in Blender, in terms of tutorials that is. And there's also J&M there, and he's done some fantastic tutorials, nice and easy to watch, easy to understand, really great stuff. And this one looks quite interesting from Simon Gangle. I haven't looked at this one yet, but just noticed it and it looks fantastic. So some great stuff on there, well worth a look at. What Blender Nation also does is my favourite Blender art on Sketchfab. I think Bart is part of the Sketchfab team as well as running Blender Nation, so he's heavily involved in that. And it's great just to immerse yourself once again by looking at the art that's on Sketchfab. And it's a wonderful place, Sketchfab, because you can really view not only the 3D model but the way it was built as well. So it's really good as an artist to see what other people are doing. Sometimes can be a bit depressing as well because it's so good and you sometimes think, am I ever going to get to that level? And there's Bart down the bottom there. So that's a really great resource, Blender Nation. Definitely get across there, put your alerts on, maybe support them, or even submit a story or article. Well worth contributing, getting involved and joining in. Another person I want to point out is Chris Prenninger. They're fairly new on the scene as well, as you can see here. And I would say both Chris and Curtis seem to sort of specialise in hard surface modelling. And here's a great tutorial about using nodes in Eevee, but there's also a great one here for hard surface modelling tips. And they're very detailed tutorials. They're the sort of tutorial you'd expect to pay for, really. Fantastic work. So get along to these guys, well worth subscribing, doing some great stuff, easy to watch, easy to listen to, easy to learn from. So there's a few places you can go just to immerse yourself in the 3D world and try and just do a bit each day. For me, like I say, it's a tutorial or some sort of talk each day, bare minimum. You might even want to get across to the Discord server and chat to like-minded people. Do remember there's a competition at the moment, the Halloween challenge or competition to get your work on the board. I call it the board because I'm a teacher. Work on the wall in the background, the wall of fame. Don't worry too much about doing an amazing finished piece, just take part, enjoy it, and post wherever you got to on the final submission page, channel, thing. If you don't want to go on the Discord, then you can just email me your submission, that's fine. If you go onto my website, I think I'll put details on there. I'm really bad at keeping up with my website. I just seem to be incredibly busy doing all these things. I'm having lots of fun, but a bit too busy and a bit too overloaded to get it all done. But people keep commenting, you need to do this, you need to do that, and you're quite right, I certainly do. I need to get on top of these things if I want to make any kind of business out of this. In fact, I'm not even really a businessman, I'm just like an extreme hobbyist, and I just enjoy doing these things, so I end up just doing everything quite badly instead of everything properly. Naughty stuff. Anyway, the competition deadline is on the 29th, and that will be at midnight, because that's really spooky, although it's just a good time for it to cut off. And that's GMT. Greenwich Mean Time. Not that it really matters if it was like an hour later. I don't think I'd worry too much because I'd be in bed and I'll just pick them up in the morning anyway, so don't panic. So get involved with that, immerse yourself in it, enjoy what you do, and thanks for watching.